Well, I guess we got to change the tire on the back of this 2010 Kawasaki 1700 Vulcan Voyager. Just got the tire in the mail today. 3 bolts each side. Take the saddlebags off. We'll take a little break. Go in here, get some coffee. Come back out and get it all situated so we can get the brand new tire on. Okay, we're down having the saddlebags off. They're 10 millimeter. To take saddlebags off, you got one there, and you got one there on the rack, and a third one on the rack over here. So those two, and then it sets in the cradle here. You lift those right out, the saddlebags out, and park them somewhere where they won't fall over. So, and in here we're looking at the other side. Same deal. How they're mounted on the rack there. And then now we're going to have to be dealing with the axle bolt and the brakes. So I guess that's our next step, is get started on the brakes. Okay, now that we got the brake caliper off, which was mounted up here like so, and there's 2 bolts right there, and there's it went into those 2 bolts. Then we are able to pull this off of the pad, and we're just going to set that right here for the time being, because now we're working on getting that cotter pin out of the axle shaft there, so that we'll be able to loosen that up and poke that shaft out, which that'll be a little more intense once we get that all situated. Then we're primarily going to be working on the other side, which I believe we're going to have to drop the exhaust a little bit so that we can knock that pin or the axle out the other side. So let me get this situated, and then I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now that bolt right there is, I'm not sure millimeter wise, but it's 1 inch and 1/16. So for that axle, whatever that is in equal into metric, I'm not sure, but that's the wrench that I have that fits, so that's the wrench I'm using. So we'll get that taken care of, get those bolts right there loosened up so that we can slide the wheel forward, because we're going to need to be able to take the belt off on the other side. So let's go to this and get this done. That support bar from one side to the other, we're going to take that off so that we can drop this exhaust, swing that down just a little bit so that we can get the axle bolt out, and we can move the wheel forward so we can get the belt off and go from there. Okay, the moment of truth. The axle is getting ready to come out. Got everything loose on this side, everything loose on the other side. So give me a few minutes and see if we can't get this axle out. Okay, folks, there you have it. There you have it, with a little bit of manipulating of this bar here, which is what the saddlebag's set on, which goes up here and is bolted underneath the chrome and underneath the, or at the fender. We were able to get this out from here, which was riding in there. So once we manipulated that out of there and got it to the side, we could then pry up on that enough to get the axle shaft out, which is right here. So now that we've got that out, we got the adjustment brackets came off with that when we did that, so that's fine. Now the wheel is loose. We got the belt off of it. We pulled the belt off towards this direction, because if you went the other way, you'd be on the other side of the pulley there. So now that we've got that, we've got to take our wheel support out from underneath. Well, we also dropped this muffler here so that we could get some clearance, because what we're going to have to do is literally raise the back of the motorcycle up more and cant this wheel at an angle like so, down that way, so that we can bring it out sideways. Because with this bike, there is no split on the fender. If it was a split here, we could just take the wheel straight out the back, but there's not, so that's why we got to twist it out of there. So give me a few more minutes and we'll see if we can get that out of there. Okay, now we're putting the axle back in. We got the tire in there, or on the wheel, and it's all cleaned up. Belt's in position. The grooves of the pulley's been checked. Make sure those don't have debris in there. Polished up any chrome that we can't get to normally. And the axle's all greased up and we're ready to go. Okay, now the axle is through. You can see the other side where it's poking out. Now we gotta put the belt on it and start our adjustments. Okay folks, there we have. We got the axle in, we've got the adjusting tensioner. If you notice the little mark right there, we pre-marked that before we took it off so that we know we get our adjustment back at the right spot. And let's see, we got the one bolt we got to put in the frame bracket for the saddlebag. And got the belt back on, and we got our belt tensioner straightened around right there. Make sure that we got the right amount of play. You can find those adjustments in your user manual. Usually has all the specifications. Or just call up your local dealer. Mechanics would be glad to give you the specs. Let's see. Over here, our castle nut's back on. The adjustment, if you notice, the mark is right in there where the secondary mark, because the belt has stretched a little bit. But it's still in good shape. So now all we got to do is place the brakes back together. Now I want to make a mention here that on the back side of this frame here, where this bracket here comes, the axle bolt comes through this bracket forward on here. You can't see it, but it's right over here behind this bracket right there, or the frame. There is a little bar, square bar, and then on this is a slot, so that this slides into that. If you don't get that lined up and that in there, that keeps this from going back and forth free playing. So that's a locking mechanism for the brake bracket, so that it stays in place. So you want to make sure you get that in there back together. You want to, well, I guess that's about it. We'll get down to doing a little more cleanup on there. We'll get the brake caliper back on there. The brakes all look good. Looks like we got plenty of brake pad left. No problem there. So, okay, I guess this wraps it up. Catch up with you in a few. Okay, we got it all cleaned up, parts back together. One thing I would like to mention is down there, if you can see that. Yeah, maybe you can't. But anyway, don't forget to put the cotter key back into castle nut that's on the axle. Real important. So, now that we got it all cleaned up, let's go for a ride. Whew, that's what I call a quick trip to the post office. Alright, let's run on in and get this thing taken care of. Okay, it's supposed to get cold. Well, it is cold. It's supposed to start snowing and some rain. So I think I'm going to put on the gloves. And maybe not make quite as a fast trip home as I did getting here. Where's the key? Okay, here we go, folks. Yeah, it's strange that we went from 70 degrees last couple days to now we're going to get snow. What's up with that? Alright. I'll get back before it starts snowing. I can already feel the moisture in the air. See, the summer is around the corner. So am I. Okay. Yeah, I wonder, I gotta figure out what is these guys doing whenever they're vlogging and they're going, "Oh, we'll see you later." What's with the hand? Oh, what's with the hand? Huh? Maybe that's where they're gonna want to cut the film or something and splice it together. We'll just cut right there. How's that? So it's some kind of secret hand signal. Cut. Degrees according to the bank clock. All rusted out truck up front, can't drive straight, riding that yellow line, buddy. Back off a little bit just in case he decides to squirrel it out. Okay, folks, that wraps it up. If you liked what you see, please hit the subscribe button down there in the right-hand corner or down there in the YouTube subscribe bar. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up and hit the little icon bell, and you'll receive more video notifications when they come out. Thanks much. See you on the next video.